All right, joined now by Ryan Jamison, caddy for Justin Suh. Is it Suh or Sue? What are we going with here?
Yeah, we're Suh. So
Right.
yeah, sure and tell that to all the starters on the first tee. Sometimes I forget.
Exactly. Yeah, I know all about that. I caddied for Seamus Power for a long time. We got all sorts of different ones with that. So Suh finished seventh in the regular season, but go out last week. You won the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, the final event of the 3-week playoff. I mean, becomes the overall number one graduate. He gets full status all year into the Players Championship. I mean, congrats, man, on that win.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun thing to be a part of, and obviously the consistency of Justin's year was fun to be a part of as well. And we were definitely knocking on the door through the year, and to get that win in that last week was just really cool and special. For Justin to cap off the great year with a win.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be fortunate enough to be on the bag for Seamus when he won at that same place. So I know how tough it is to close out on that golf course. I mean, tell me about that last little stretch there and just getting it done.
Yeah, I think with Justin, I think he's a really confident person. He's able to just focus on those numbers, and that's what we really tried to do down the stretch is just keep things really simple. Obviously you have your game plan and you try to stick to that as much as possible. But for him, it's just keeping things really simple, focusing on those numbers, and he's learned to win long before my time. So I think that college experience of winning. I think he won like 7 times in college, might be more. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but experience from USC and kind of those amateur days, I think really paid dividends down the stretch in Indiana.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like for you personally to nab a flag? Maybe if you won before caddying professionally, but if not, like what was that like to kind of unscrew that flag at the end of the day?
Yeah, I didn't quite know how to do it because it was my Um, yeah, no, it was really cool. I think when you're caddying, you kind of wonder, am I ever going to have that opportunity to do that? Obviously, I knew working with Justin, he's a great, unbelievable player, and you know, I think in the moment, you just try to stick to the moment. It's crazy how you just kind of have the blinders up and you're kind of in like a Zen state, where you're just focused on what you're doing and you're totally present and. To be honest with you, it's just like you're focused so much on that stuff that it was really cool in the moment to be standing on that 18th green, knowing that he had, an opportunity to win this, and it was looking really promising.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about his game. I mean, I know Justin played, over the last year or two. He's had a number of starts on tour, and then he really, honed. I'm sure being on the Korn Ferry Tour for a full year was great for his game and his long term edge. I guess tell us a little bit about his game. What are some of his strengths that he's going to be able to tap into out on tour full time next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the major things that he does really well is he has really excellent speed on the greens. I think that's one of the things that we definitely focus on during the week is we call it the speed ratio, right? So we go through normally 2 to 3 strokes gain simulated putting sessions a week, which just really dial in the greens, dial in the speeds, and try to adjust that to the golf course, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that he does really well. I also think he's a great ball striker. You know, he's able to hit irons, I think, pretty close from all the way up to his longer irons, his 4 irons, all the way down to his wedges.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that he focuses on as well with his. He calls them his mids and his highs. And we do some, we're basically looking at a specific number during the week, and we're trying to figure out how far left or right and long or short it is in yards, and he gets a score based on that number. And so we're just trying to keep things really simple. That's one of the things that he's learned, I think, from Chris Sambry at USC that
Hmm.
he's kind of taken with him into pro golf, and I think it's really helped him just keep things really focused in our lead up to playing tournaments every week.
Yeah, that's great to have a guy like Chris to lean on. I know he's got a lot of experience that he can pass on to his players. You caddied last fall for another former college stud, Brandon Wu, who I'll have to tell you this story separately, but I caddied for Brandon for like one hole last year or 2 years ago during COVID. It was crazy. But what did you learn from your experience on tour with Brandon last fall and maybe last year that you're going to kind of like that'll help you this second time around, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I learned a lot from Brandon. I think he's a great professional, great friend of mine. A lot of time that I spent with him at Stanford and coaching and just getting to be around him. I think one of the things that I've learned through him was trying to be kind of a little bit more level headed. I think both of us, when we got into it, we wanted it to work so bad, and I think at least from my standpoint, like I think I was really, really emotional about the fact that like, hey, this is a kid that I had time with him, took part in his development at Stanford, and now I'm here, on the PGA Tour, taking part in his ultimate goals of trying to win tournaments on the PGA Tour. So I think it was just really emotional for me, and I think one of the things I learned from him is just basically how to dial that back.
Mm-hmm.
Try to be level no matter if a guy's making a birdie or a bogey or anything like that. I think that's really important to just be even keel. And that's one of the things that I learned from him that I took to Justin that I think, I do a pretty good job with. Moving forward, I think, everybody, on the PGA Tour probably looks for something a little bit different than the next.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the things also that I learned was that it's not about how to be the best caddy for myself, but it's how to be the best caddy for my player. So really tapping into what the individual player needs and doing your best to be able to deliver that.
Sure, absolutely. And you referenced your college coaching experience. I mean, 16 years, Stanford, FAU. I mean, how does the college coaching experience transfer to caddy? I know there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the number one thing is dealing with a bunch of different players. So you've kind of seen everything that you can possibly see in 16 years of dealing with anywhere from young immature kids to number one amateurs in the world. So you've seen kind of a bunch of different situations, and you've failed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the number one thing is that you failed a lot, right? Like, I've been blessed to be a part of national championships and to win different awards at different places. But I think at the end of the day, like you learn as much from your failures as you do your successes, and probably more.
Right.
And I think that's what a 16-year college golf career will do to you. Is it'll give you a lot of humble pie, and you have to take that and learn how to bounce back and do your best going forward. But I think it just made me a little bit more battle tough, I would say.
Gotcha. Well, and I think you're a perfect guy to ask about this because you've seen, I mean, the crop of players on the tour right now, it's just younger and younger. The guys are winning, more quickly. There's so much depth, and then there's all these young studs coming on the next crop. I mean, what's your thoughts on the young talent that's on tour right now? And what are some of the trends you're noticing out of these young players, coming from college and then right onto the tour?
I think the coaching. I'll start here. I think the coaching in college has just improved so much over the last decade. Historically, it's been kind of more of a van driver, I would say,
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago. And I think over the last 10 years, with the introduction of, different course management theories, with more focus on sports medicine, with more focus on sports and conditioning, it's just honestly, I think instead of focusing on just, maybe technique, right, we have like more of a performance pie where there's, 6 or 7 different things that you focus on to be successful, whether it be your nutrition, whether it be your strength and conditioning, all these things that are getting mentioned for these college kids in college, and they're learning these things at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're coming out to professional golf and just hitting the ground running. I mean, they have access to TrackMans where they can do combines, and they have access to great statistical research from different people that talk about based on stats like what they need to focus on and how they can maybe divvy up their practice sessions to be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot more information over the last 10 years that has come into college golf, and it's allowed these kids coming out to be more ready to hit the ground running when
Sure.
they start. There's not as much as that learning curve. I think that learning curve has been cut in half, or whatever you want to say with that, to where they're just ready to come out, and some of them are ready to win.
How much? Yeah, I mean, because Tiger was so dominant when a lot of these kids were born. They were young kids, and I mean, how much of an influence was he on that kind of winning mentality? Because I think there was a point where Tiger was beating up on everyone that were like his same age or a little older, and they kind of like defeated before they even teed off. And then these guys now, I mean, obviously Tiger's not what he once was, but they just seem to be coming out with just such a winning attitude and actually converting.
Yeah, I think what it is there's more of a connection to the guys that have come out to the PGA Tour that are young and have
Yeah.
had success. Meaning, like, for a guy like Matt Wolff and Colin Morikawa, it's like, okay, Colin won, so I played with this guy last year in college and I beat him a couple times too. So I feel like I can win.
Yeah.
And there's more of that connection, to where they've seen guys that they've played with, and they're like, okay, they're just not. I would say they're just not as intimidated by them, and they feel like they belong. Right? There's that self confidence, that self belief, and I think that they have the statistical proof and the mental proof that they do belong and that they can.
I love that. That's a great insight there. So then just some names, maybe, that if you can name drop a couple for us, maybe guys that are going to be rookies with Justin this fall that you saw on the Korn Ferry Tour this year, or maybe guys that just wrapped up their rookie year that stand out to you, that we should keep an eye on this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think not to. I mean, there's a ton of names.
Yeah.
First of all, unbelievable class of guys that are coming to the PGA Tour. Some for the first time, some that have been there before. I think obviously one name to look out for is Carl Yuan. I think he has kind of a flair for being a little bit different. I think he's got that. He's definitely got the game, and he can definitely go low. I think that's one guy I would look at. And then obviously another guy that I want to mention too as well is Taylor Montgomery. I mean, a guy that last year, a year ago, that finished 26th in both rankings. I mean, think about the scar tissue that you built up from that experience, and to turn that around and come out this year and just get the job done really quick. I think he got the job done maybe after Chicago. I think I was listening to a podcast, and he was basically felt like he was wrapped up after Chicago last year. So he got right to work, and I think that guy is got a bright future ahead of him too as well. And great short game, great putter, and hits the ball a long way, which obviously does a lot of good on the PGA Tour. So I say those are two names that I would definitely look out for.
I like it. That is super impressive from Taylor. All right, I'll get you out of here on this one. What are you most looking forward to for next week in Napa and just the fall series in general?
I think most looking forward to next week is just seeing everybody that I haven't seen, for a while. Obviously, after going back down to the Korn Ferry Tour and working out there for a year, you're kind of in your own little bubble. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all the guys that I saw in the fall last year, and kind of catching up, and obviously establishing new friendships as well. For the year, I'm honestly, I'm looking forward to just trying to do the same things that we did the whole year. Last year is just, stick to our processes and just try to, get better and improve every week. I think that golf success is obviously not linear, right? So there's going to be ups and downs and in betweens and all that stuff. So, you just got to keep a level head in the game, and just continue to work hard. And, I think that if you have the talent in this game, you will be figured out soon enough. So I look forward to that goal of trying to win some tournaments, and just try to move up leaderboards.
Well, I bet you two Cali boys are going to have no problem starting on a little Poe there first week out in Napa.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to getting out on the West Coast, which you don't get to do too often on the Korn Ferry Tour. So it'll be fun for us to be out in Cali for the first event of the year, and not too far from where Justin grew up in San Jose.
Perfect. Hey, Ryan, thanks for taking a little time out. Congrats on a nice year, and good luck out there this year.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.